Hi everyone, and welcome to another video. Welcome to Flosstube number 71. I almost said 17, no, 71. This is Flosstube for the month of July 2025. Flosstube is basically a video about cross stitching. I am an avid cross stitcher. I live here in Stockholm, Sweden with my boyfriend and our 2 cats, and my big hobby is cross stitching. And for the past few months I've been on vacation / in between jobs. I do have a new job, but I don't start until next week, so I just been having a lot of time on my hands, and a lot of time has gone into cross stitching, even though I also have time to do a lot of other things. I do cross stitch between 4 to 6 hours a day regularly. I stitch about an hour in the morning to 2 hours in the morning when I work, and I work full time. I stitch in the morning 1 to 2 hours, and then I stitch in the evening, mostly like 4 to 5 hours. So I do have a lot of stitching. I don't have children, we have cats. Both me and my boyfriend kind of like the kind of slow living. We would like to travel more, but it's harder with the cats. But we like the slow living, so it works really great for me. I watch a lot of YouTube, a lot of things. So that's kind of how I get all of this in. And now, how much have I really stitched in July? Well, I have stitched for 30 of 31 days in July. I have stitched 25,884 stitches in total, and I have done that over 14 projects. So yeah, that's a lot. The reason why I have all this data is because I register everything I stitch into a Notion. I'm using a specific Notion template. I will link it down below. It costs like 10 bucks. It's definitely worth it. And then I kind of have built upon that to make it function for me. But you don't really have to build on it because it has most of everything. It's just me that wants more details sometimes. But anyhow, let's get into the cross stitching, because that is what you're here for. So I'm going to start with all of my finishes, which is a lot because this has been a month of Mill Hills. If you don't know what a Mill Hill is a kit. It's a branded kit. The brand is Mill Hill. It is owned by WIPGO. WIPGO owns the Mill Hill brand. The Mill Hill brand has beads. You can buy just beads and treasures and buttons, or a couple of things. If you ever have seen a Mirabilia or a Nora Corbett, that's the word. Those usually have Mill Hill beads as the design. It's also WIPGO who distribute the Nora Corbett and the Mirabilias. So kind of how that works. Now, Mill Hill kits are usually stitched on perforated paper. They do have a couple of kits that are stitched on fabric, but they are a specific designer and they only are sold in the US. So I don't have them because I'm here in Sweden. They have a lot of different groupings. I love the button and beads kits. I love their Santas and their Jim Shore gnomes, and I also really enjoy their small seasonal ornaments. So those are the kind of I stitch. And for transparency's sake, I own a small cross-stitch shop over on Etsy where I actually sell all of these, and the new releases just got home to me. It usually takes a little bit longer time for me to get them, but they just arrived and I got them up on Etsy. So everything I have is up on Etsy at this moment, if you are interested. And everything is linked in down below, as usual. But just let's jump into our finishes. So the first one is actually what I stitched on last video, or had stitched on for last video. So this is how it looked when I stitched it, or stitched on it in June. And that was how far I had come. This is called Old Fashioned. It is from the Spring Bouquet series 2025, which were 6 designs. This is how it looks finished. So here you go. This is how it looks finished, with all of the cute little beads and everything. This one has a little heart as a treasure. So it's a little matte heart, which is part of that little stick into this little drink, but that is how it's done finished. I'm super happy about how it came out. I started this on the May 28th. I finished it on July 1st, and this is 908 stitches in total. So that is my first finish. Then I wanted to pick up another finish. Now this has a little story because most of my projects do have little stories. I have a tendency to choose my projects for very specific reasons. So this one is the Ice Cream Sundae. It is from the Spring Bouquet series 2024, so last year's series. And the idea was that I was going to make a little ornament for a girl who turned 9, but I end up choosing not to give her that then. Instead I decided that I'm just gonna make these into proper Christmas ornaments, and the family got very specific ornaments last year, so I'm gonna give them stitched ornament this year. So it's my brother's bonus children, but I had started stitching on it before I decided all of this, and this is the Ice Cream Sundae. So that is super adorable. I started it on July the 2nd, I finished it on July the 3rd, and it was 1004 stitches. And it also had that matte little heart, which is kind of fun that both of these had that matte heart as the treasure. So yeah, that is that design. I really loved stitching it. I really love how they pop. And I must say, when you look at the pictures on the packaging, they don't pop that much, but when you stitch them, all of these beads like twinkle in the sun and they are gorgeous. So if you ever like you're on like a little bit like, well, on the packaging they don't look really great. Well, cross stitching at a whole have a problem with bad photos on packaging. These really pop, and I really enjoy doing them, and I actually enjoy beading. I didn't think I would. The next project number 3, is a project I picked these up like a year ago. A lot of the Mill Hill kits I have, I pick them up, I'm meaning to start them and I don't. This is Fall Flamingo. This is actually from the Autumn Harvest collection and is from 2021, and I picked this up, and first of all, just look at those legs. How gorgeous are those legs? Those little feety, they really look like flamingo feet. The treasure on this is actually the beads on the knee beads, so you know. But yeah, it looks gorgeous. I started it on the 3rd of July, I finished it on the 3rd of July, and it was 674 stitches. So yeah, that is the Fall Flamingo. I think it's super cool. I love flamingos. I just love flamingos. So yeah, but that is a super cool design. And I stitched it for me, but in the end I think it's gonna be a gift for a friend, for a Christmas ornament for a friend. Then we have project number 4. Now this is a little bit different because it's still a small ornament. It is called Bee, but this is a beaded ornament. And a beaded ornament means that it only have beads on it. There's no cross stitches. Also, when you stitch Mill Hill kits, it usually says for the petite beads to do crosses and for the like normal seed beads to do half stitches. However, this one, it says to do half stitches for all of them. So that is what I have done. And I actually ended up going just in rows. So I usually do 1 bead color at a time or 1 cross stitching color at a time. And then I stitch it where I can in the area, and then I fasten off, and then I kind of build upon it. However, in this case, I just put little piles of beads on my sticky bead mat, and then I just stitched everything in rows. And you might see it on the back side that it's basically just white stitches in this, because I went back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So yeah, this is B. It is part of the beaded ornament series from 2022, and I think it's so adorable. It was super fun to stitch. I started it on July 4th, I finished it on July 5th, and it was 877 stitches. This does not have a treasure, it just has beads. Then we have Rainy Weather, which I also stitched on July the 4th and July the 5th, because I started this on July the 4th. On July the 4th, I headed out for a birthday dinner for said 9-year-old that I talked about earlier. And I didn't want to bring my beads with me because they have a 2-year-old daughter, and I don't want to have beads just laying around that she can accidentally get into her. Also, it's easier to use cross stitch and not having to have like beads. It's hard to bead in the car. It's not just yeah. So I picked up Rainy Weather. This is from Autumn Harvest 2024. That is the little treasure if you wanted to know. It's really shiny. It is 752 stitches. So I picked this up, I stitched on this, did the cross stitching, got home, and then the next day I finished the beading on that, and then I finished the beading on that, and then both of them was done. So that was project 4 and 5. Now project 6 is a little bit bigger. This is Summer Fruit. This is a button and beads kit. They're named that because you get a little button in the kit. This is from the 2024 spring series, and I started on July 5th. I ended on July 9th, and it was 5,329 stitches and beads. I forget to tell you that. I track cross stitching and beads the same because one bead is one box in the pattern. I take all of my patterns, all of my Mill Hill paper patterns, I scan them in my scanner. I take them into a photo editing software. Today it is Affinity Photo that I use. I used to use Photoshop. Affinity Photo is a one payment kind of application, so I've gone over to them now. Anyhow, I take it in there. I separate it out on 3 different sheets. I have the first sheet in my PDF, which is a picture of the pattern. I have the of the finished project. I have the second piece, which is the pattern, and the third is the key. Then I turn that into a PDF. I used Affinity Publisher for that, and then finished like uploading it into Markup RX, which is a iPad friendly cross stitch app for like marking off cross stitches and stuff. So I load that in. As it is a paper pattern, it doesn't just automatically get the key in and everything. Some PDFs, it just like automatically works. For these, you have to do some manual work. The manual in total, I think it take me about 40 minutes to do all of the things and get it into Markup RX, but it is worth it for me because I stitch so much faster and I can zoom it, which I can't. My eyesight is a little bit iffy. I have some problems with my eyes. It gets worse when I have migraines. I have a hard time seeing as a whole. And being able to have my iPad and zoom into the pattern when my eyes start acting up, because it is different days. I can see different lengths, different days, depending on my migraine. It affects the blood vessels in the back of my eyes. So I have an ocular migraine, I also have a basilar migraine, so I have a complex one. Anyhow, therefore I do all of this work to be able to do my cross stitches. I do not in any way sell my pattern. I never sell my old kits. I save all my old kits, so I never sell my paper patterns, but I would never ever share my digital patterns because that is illegal. Just so you know. But making it into a digital pattern to help you is not. But yeah, here is Summer Fruit, and I really loved it. It was super fun. A little note, all of the black little things are actually beads. So all of the seeds and the black little on the kiwis are beads, but there's a lot of beads in this project, so it was a bead heavy project and was super fun to work on. So that is project number 7. Project number 8. Now I am currently, as a note, I'm currently trying to get a real store up and running. Etsy takes a lot of money from you in fees. There is a lot of fees. It is between 15 and 25% of the amount that you pay goes directly to Etsy. Kind of depending if you have gone through a Etsy link or if you have gone through my links. If you go through my links, it's actually closer to 15%. But yeah, so it takes a lot of fees. If I have my own store, I would have a monthly cost, but I wouldn't have that listing cost. I would only get the payment cost for it. So I am working on getting up my own store. I've been working on this for a couple of months. It's a lot of work, especially when you don't hire someone to do it for you. So I am the one who's responsible of setting the store up, adding all of the products and everything. Anyhow, what I wanted to say about that was that I am currently listing all my Mill Hill kits into that store to hopefully be open no later than the end of September, but I don't know. I have a full-time job that I'm starting on Wednesday, and I also am sick. Like, I'm at the end of the month here in August, I will go for an MRI to have an MRI on my pancreas because I'm not being able to eat properly. I'm also having some x-rays done on my shoulder, which is broken. So yeah, my body, and chronic migraines on top of that. So yay, life is life. But yeah, so I'm hoping to get it up. But anyhow, I'm doing a lot of the listing, and I was listing the Jim Shore projects, and I'm like, I love these projects. I just love them. Why haven't I stitched them? Well, here's story number 2 when it comes to the Jim Shores. The Jim Shore gnomes, which this is, they have a lot of excess paper. So you can actually fit 2 of these gnomes on one piece of paper. These ones you need to like do one on this end and one on that end turned around. So you have one pointing downward and one pointing upward, if you understand. So you can get it out of the paper. And from the red and green ones, most of them you could actually get it out of the whole material, had enough beads and threads and paper to do 2. And I found this out on the Mill Hill group on Facebook. I tried it and it worked. And after that, a part of me was like, well, you can do it, so I should do it. And I really don't enjoy making 2 out of something. So I just haven't worked on the gnomes. Now this time I was like, no, I don't care that I can get 2 out of it. I just have to forget that and like take the decision that I will only make 1 of them. If I want 2 of them, I will get myself 2 kits. So after that, it was a little bit easier, and I can tell you this specific gnome didn't have enough beads to make 2 out of them, specifically these brown beads. But yeah, this is Pinecone Gnome. This is from the Jim Shore 2023 series. And if you have decorations that are like white bluish tones, then these would be great for that. I really, really love them. They do have, there are 6 of them. They're a mushroom gnome, they're this pinecone gnome, there's another gnome, another cone gnome, there's a bunny one, and yeah, an old one. So there's many of them. But yeah, this is the pinecone. It is 1,268 stitches. I started it on July 9th and I finished it on July 10th. So yeah, that is that one. I'm sorry if you don't like all my like drabbles about everything, but I really like. I have stories about everything. We have a story about the next one. The next one is Latte. This is a button and beads kit. It's from 2008. This is one of the older one. It is 4 of them. They were placed in 2 different series, but they have 4 of these coordinating. However, latte and cappuccino, which I've had in my store, I think I still have lattes in my store, but I don't have any cappuccino. I realized that yesterday. They have gotten new buttons that is kind of coordinating with them, because like a year ago or something like that, the button company that WIPGO had for the Mill Hill kits, they retired, so they replaced them with just another button company, and they are working from the newer kits back to the older kits. But I also think that it's a little bit like if they have a bead for another kit that also coordinates with a bead from an older kit, you can get that older kit. But 2 of these coffee ones haven't got replacement beads yet, and therefore you can't get them. It is mocha and espresso, and I'm trying to get them to actually choose no buttons for them so that I can get them, because I want all 4 of these. But yeah, this is a latte anyhow. This is a little start along over on Instagram. You can still join. I really do want to see. Please tag me. There is a hashtag. I will list it somewhere, but please tag me in it if you want to start doing these, because I would love to see them. I would love to see them. I started it with Christine from Calico Whimsy, because we talked about this like 2 years ago. She had a video where she went through all her milk kits, and I saw the latte one. I'm like, this is one I want. And then I ordered them from Richard, and it took me like a year to get them because they had to replace the button. And when I finally got them, then it had just been laying around because I've stitched on so many other things. Like I took a break from the milk kits for a while, but I'm back. I'm back, baby. But yeah, this is Latte. Latte has 4,677 stitches. I started this on July 10th and I finished it on July 18th. The reason why this took so long time has nothing to do with any complexity or anything. It's just that I was on vacation. We went over to Christmas parents on the west coast of Sweden. We live on the east coast. I live in Stockholm. So we traveled there. It takes about 6 hours by car, and we spent like a week there. It was really nice, like the weather. It was 30 degrees. It has this kind of cool breeze most of the day. They have set up like a sail as a sun coverage, so you sit under the sail all day long and just sit stitching and chatting. We did go on a couple of little mini journeys in the archipelago, go shopping and stuff like that. So it was a nice week. But yeah, so I was stitching on this while I was there. So July 10th to July 18th. Next project, this one, when I saw it, I knew I needed to stitch it. I just haven't gotten to it. This is from the Winter Holidays series of 2024, and this is Christmas Cactus, which first of all, isn't that adorable. That is probably the most adorable little Christmas cactus I have ever seen. I started this on July 18th. I finished it on July 20th. It is 1,045 stitches. And here's the thing. Look at these. These are 5 bead clusters. I don't know if you can see. They are much, much bigger, because you do 4 beads and then you do 1 bead in the middle, or more. You do 2 beads and then you put 2 beads on your needle and you go over 2 stitches, and then you put 3 beads on the needle and do another cross to do that, to do this and get it to be. You have to kind of maneuver the beads a little bit when you pull tight, and you need to pull tight and you need to make sure to fasten properly on the back side. But yeah, I think they're super cool. I never done these kind of little clusters before. This was the first time and I really loved it. It does have a little treasure, which is this little one, which is just like a little glass bauble. That was, I lost count of which number of project it is. The next project has another story. I have been using Instagram a little bit more than I've done for a while. For me, I basically had about a year when I haven't used social media very much. I've been a lot less here on YouTube. I haven't really been on Instagram that much. I've been looking on Instagram, but I haven't really commented or posted. It's been a rough year. Mostly it is health and energy, but it's also like starting new jobs, 2 of them. If you're new here, hi, I quit my job in March, started a new job in June. within 3 weeks I realized this is not the job for me, so I quit that and I'm starting a new job in August, here in August. So yeah, it's been chaos, and that maneuvering that I cannot eat properly, and I'm not losing weight. I'm actually gaining weight even though I kind of live on 1200 calories. I do not know what's going on, but the doctors will figure it out. But we're like 9 months in and I still don't know. So we'll see, we'll see. Anyhow, I have started using Instagram more because I really enjoy Instagram. A part of that is actually utilizing stories. And so I made a whole story and asked, which one do you want me to stitch? Either the Peacock Butterfly from the Spring Bouquet 2025 or Rosy Raccoon from the Autumn Harvest 2021 series. I put up a little poll and the answer on that poll was Peacock Butterfly. So I stitched Peacock Butterfly. So as I said, this is from the Spring Bouquet 2025, so this is one of the newer kits. I started it on July the 20th, I finished it on the July the 21st, and it is 826 stitches. And these two are the little treasures. Treasures are just like a little bit of a bigger bead, and usually have some kind of fun facet or shape. So yeah. That is Peacock Butterfly. Now after that, of course, because Rosy Raccoon got almost 50%, it got 45 or something, it was very close. I just needed to stitch her too. So here is Rosy Raccoon. She is Autumn Harvest 2021, as I said. I started it on July 21st. I finished it on July 22nd. And it was 9,058 stitches, and the little treasure is a little flower over here, the little cute flower. So yeah, I actually have one more project for you when it comes to Mill Hills, because I said it was a month of Mill Hills. These small projects take me about a day, so most of these have been started in the middle of the day. So I started at 2-3 in the afternoon, I stitched on it on the evening, and then I finished stitching on the morning, and then I start a new one like 2-3 in the afternoon. That's why I usually have 2 days, but I do have a stitching time of between 100 and 200 stitches an hour. Depends on what kind of stitches, depends on the beads, depends on a lot of different things, but that is kind of the range. I have days when I stitch 300 stitches an hour, and I have days when I maybe get 80 stitches an hour. So it depends on a lot of things, but these are usually take me about 1 day if I would start them in the morning. But the last one is Floral Birdcage. I started it on July the 23rd. I finished it on July the 25th. And it is 1012 stitches, and I can tell you it is quite intense because it is so many beads in so many different colors, and I do use the colored thread with the beads because in many cases it actually enhances the beads. Also, this is also a little one of those flowers that I just showed you on Rosy Raccoon. However, this is like iridescent and see-through, so you can't really see the shape here in the camera because I can't get that close. But it is one of those flowers at the top as a treasure. So yeah, that is the last of my Mill Hill projects. After working on all of those Mill Hill projects, I was at the end of the month, it was the 25th of July. We're now at July the 25th. At that time I already started to have plans for August coming up in my head. So I knew that on the 1st of August I wanted to start my plans, which meant that I needed to get through my WIPGO draws. So WIPGO, if you don't know, it is by Jessie Does Stuff over on YouTube. She does a lot of cross stitching. I read books, knitting, stuff like that, but like mostly cross stitching. And she has like 100 projects, over 100 projects that she's working on. She's one of the oldies. Like when I have only had this channel for 3 years. I just got my YouTube anniversary like this week, so basically I've been on YouTube for 3 years on this channel. But I actually started with YouTube back in 2012, and in 2014 I started a vlog channel where I was vlogging my life every day. I was on full-time sick leave, and I kind of just sat down and chatted with the camera every day and uploaded. It wasn't something fancy. I had like 500 subscribers. I had like 50 people that was watching consistently on my channel. But people were watching, and I was sharing my cross-stitching every day. Was a part of it. I kind of shared what I was working on. I was very much a monogamous stitcher then. I was stitching on full coverage stitching every day. It was a lot. But yeah, so I was into Flosstube already in like 2014, and she's one of them that I've been watching for many years. So she does WIPGO. WIPGO is basically like bingo. She draws 2 new numbers every month, and you make your board how you want it. A bingo board is 5 by 5. It's 25 numbers. The way it is that number 13, if number 13 is drawn, which is the middle number on the board, she will draw 3 numbers that month, so that we get 2 every month except for that month with the 13. A lot of people say that 13 is a free number, which means that you don't stitch anything on it. I have things to stitch on everything. Anyhow, I have dedicated my full coverage stitching. All of my full coverage projects have different pieces on the WIPGO board. I have about, I think it's 6 times per project, and one of the projects have 7 times that it will go up. And she drew 2 numbers this year, or for July, and for July the projects that came up was Rose Library and Gamer Nouveau. So Rose Library, this is Rose Library. It is sharded by Unconventional Stitches. It is designed by Ivy Dollamore. I love her. I actually have another project with her, which is not, I usually don't do them in tandem, but I just couldn't stop myself. That was what it's gonna look like. This is how it looked last time I showed you the design. And this, see if I can just open up the fabric. I actually had folded everything down because I thought the video was done, but it wasn't. This is where it is right now. This is 8.8%. As you saw, I stitched basically mostly these stitches here. I stitched 5,011 stitches over 5 days. That is much more than my goal. My goal is 1,500 stitches per WIPGO. My yearly goal on these projects though is 30,000 stitches, which means I would need to stitch 2,500 stitches every month on every project. What I do instead is that some months I do 5,000 stitches, sometimes I do 7,500 stitches. It all depends on how much I'm into said project. But yeah, anyhow, the next project and the last project that I have for you is Gamer Nouveau, which was the other WIPGO draw. Gamer Nouveau is this one. My specific one is sharded by Gecko Rouge, but designed by Medusa Dollmaker. Gecko Rouge do not sell their shard anymore. However, Medusa Dollmaker do sell a chart that she sharded over on her, and that will be linked together with the project. But know that mine is the Gecko Rouge sharding, and they don't look the same. They have distinct different features. Just so you know. This is how it looked the last time I showed you that. I'll probably go past my face or something because it's a fairly wide project. And this is how it looks now. Right now that is 31.5%. And I have only stitched 1,543 stitches on this. And I stitched for like 2 days or something on it. I just did my 1,500 stitches and then I stopped because that was when I started getting into my August plans, and I'm like, okay, I've done 1,500 stitches, I can continue stitching on this another month. I have my plans and I really want to start them. So with that was all of my process stitching. Now we're gonna head into August plans. I have been watching now in like July a lot of people who have been doing like Summerween, which is basically Halloween with summer details, but I am very much a Halloween fan. I didn't think I like horror. I just don't like jump scare horror. I do like intricate stories with ghosts and scary things in them. So like Crimson Peak, one of my favorite ones. I really love that. I actually also like Abigail. It's a great horror movie, but I'm not a horror per se person, but I do classify myself somewhat like a cozy goth somewhere there. I don't put on a lot of makeup because eyes have a problem, but otherwise I would have like black wings and stuff on my eyes because I enjoy makeup. When I was younger, I used to have like black lipstick and stuff like that because I thought it was cool, because that was the kind of person I wanted to be when I grew up, and today I don't use lipstick at all. But that's another story. I love Halloween. That is where I'm gonna go. I love mostly cute and cuddly Halloween. I like Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery, like Doodlebug Designs that doesn't do cross stitch, they only do paper craft, but they're so adorable. Everything there is so adorable. But I kind of like it, like a little pink and purplish. Maybe not pastel, but sometimes pastel. Anyhow, I have been longing for Halloween. And usually Halloween becomes very, very short. You do it in October. That's the only month that I have stitched Halloween mostly. And I thought, hey, I am going to extend Halloween for August this year. I might stitch it more than that, but we're starting now. It's like a countdown to Halloween or something. It's like less than 100 days to Halloween. So, by the way, fun fact, I don't celebrate Halloween. I am Swedish. We don't really have Halloween in Sweden. It's starting to creep up a little bit that people want to celebrate Halloween, but it's not a holiday that is natural for us. We do have All Hallows Eve, which isn't Halloween. It is a religious holiday, and it's meant to kind of honor the dead and go to the graveyards and put flowers on the graveyards and stuff like that. Halloween is awesome. So August's plans is Halloween. Now I have so many Halloween patterns that I want to stitch. I have so many that I haven't even purchased yet, that, oh, this one and this one. And if you didn't see it, last year I made a video of like 13 Halloween projects I want to stitch. I will link it somewhere. There should be a card in one of the corners. I never remember which one, but it should be a card in one of the corners that you can click on, and you can see the video if you haven't. Well, in that video, there was one project that I was like, I need to start this, and I never did. And that was Witch's Hollow by Autumn Lane Stitchery. I love it. They have actually recently published a couple more designs that has the same air around them. So they have so many great Halloween projects. But Witch's Hollow, I really wanted to stitch it for quite some time. Now Witch's Hollow is stitched on a mottled orange fabric, and in my idea I'm like, I want to find a Swagart non-hand dyed kind of a fabric that matches that, and I did, in the color of pumpkin. So I am going to stitch this on pumpkin 32 count even weave by Swagart. So that's where I'm going to start with it. As you know, it's now the 9th of August, so I have already started. And if you want to see my projects and what I've done so far, you can find it over on Instagram. Marika Stitches, just like here. It's a dot in between though. It's a dot in between though. The first project I'm going to stitch is Autumn. It's the Witch's Hollow by Autumn Lane Stitchery. The other projects I have, and we're actually going to turn around because this is quite funny. I have this. I wanted to get a cauldron. However, no places in Sweden have started their Halloween Halloween stuff for decorations, and we don't get that much Halloween stuff for decorations. It's fairly little of it, but there is a Danish company that does great Halloween project. heavily in stuff, but they haven't started to put them out yet. So instead I took a plattern. I have a little pumpkin plattern that I got from my father when I was sick. I was like 14, 15, somewhere there. Anyhow, this is my pumpkin plattern. In my pumpkin plattern, I have added little pieces of paper. So here's the thing. Just Cross Stitch magazine came out with their Halloween 2024 edition. I went through it. I found a bunch of projects that I really want to stitch, and we are gonna have them here somehow. And I'm going to read through the 15 projects that I have put into my plattern. So I'm not going to stitch all of them. I'm just gonna stitch a little bit on my Witch's Hollow, and then I'm gonna pick one of them from the plattern, stitch a little bit on that, maybe finish it depending on the size of it, go back to Witch's Hollow, stitch for a couple of days on that, then go to my plattern and get a new project, and then we're gonna move that back and forth. Then we'll see how long. I also found a bunch of the new Halloween kits from Mill Hill that I want to stitch, so after I've done this a couple of times, I might just add more tickets into this, dilute my little row of projects with other projects. We will see. But right now, the ones I have in my plattern is, and this is just the names of them. I don't have the, well, we can actually have the designers. Let's do that. The names and the designers. First project is Beware. It is by Milo Mini by Senia. All of these are from the Just Cross Stitch magazine 2025. Next is Bouquet. It is by 3 Tiny Owls. Then we have Dreamweaver Witch by Raven Stitch Craft, probably. Free Hugs by The Stitcherhood. Ghostly Heights by Haunted Frames. Ghoulish Glow by Paddock Lane Design. Graveyard Biscorno by KEB Studio Creations. Let the Ghosts Out by The Stitch Crypt. Little Frankie by Praiseworthy Stitches. Little Mushroom Ghost by The Little Stitcher. Paranormal Activity by Flossie Fox Shop. Raven Rose by Jessie Schofield. Sit for a Spell by Jenny Barton. The Messenger by Twisted Willow Designs. Tonight I Fly by The Stitch Crypt. Yeah, that was all of them. The last one in the row is actually the Autumn Lane Stitchery, because I have made my own like little August plan board on Notion. But yeah, that is my August plans. I am going to go between the Witch's Hollow and these. I want to be able to finish the Witch's Hollow here in August because I want to fully finish it and have it on my wall by Halloween. The smaller projects I might or might not fully finish during August, depending on size, depending on how many stitches, and depending how fun it's been to stitch it. So we'll see, but I do want to get to a bunch of the project in the Just Cross Stitch magazine because I do want to stitch out of my magazines, but also more out of my stash because I have a lot of stash. As you can see here, this is my wall of threads. Just as a little note, about here is the middle it's 2 different boards that I put together, and on the board that you see the most of, those are the threads from like my full covered stitches, so I hang them up each on a longer hanger here on my board so that I have them collected and that they just can hang, because the threads actually, instead of like trying to push them into a project bag, I put all my threads like this. And then all the threads that are here are my full DMC kind of stash. So I have one stash that is on my floss drops, which by the way I sell in my store also. I only use those floss drops. I made them because I wanted them. I have that full set, and then I have a full set of just skeins also, because I like threads, and I do need, because threads here in Sweden in store is very expensive. A DMC skein today is 26 SEK, which is $2.6. A skein is very expensive, so I buy my skeins online or whenever I travel. If the country I travel to have cheaper skeins, I will buy them from there, but I just do DMC. I don't want to have the Chinese brands. I have multiple reasons why. We're not going to go into them right now, but one of them is that the Chinese brands are not 100% cotton, and I want 100% cotton. I want DMC. I think DMC is a long-lasting brand and I really enjoy DMC. That's why I use DMC. So yeah, anyhow, that was all of my plans for August. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about my life, like kind of what has been going on in July. July has actually been a fairly quiet month. We started the month heading out to my little brother and his family for his bonus daughter's 9th birthday. We had a really nice dinner, just sitting in their lovely house just by the sea. It is gorgeous. It was awesome. It was a great dinner. There was like tacos, and then it was a dessert with like cupcakes and stuff. It was really nice and really enjoyed it. So it was a great start. July here in Sweden has been a very, very hot month. We start off with, like, most of the month has had around 30 degrees heat. Wasn't until towards the end of July that the temperature started to go down a little bit, but still it's been the last couple of weeks have been super humid here. We don't usually get humidity. We usually have around 50 to maybe 60% humidity. And like the last couple of weeks, we got it up to the 80s. Like we had one morning, it was 84% humidity. It's a lot for Sweden, okay? It's a lot for Sweden. It's been very warm, 30 degrees Celsius. And I know it doesn't sound warm. Here we go. Like if you say, like 30 degrees Celsius for us is warm because it's very, very warm in the sun. And why it is because we don't have very much humidity. If you didn't know, like humidity, how it functions in the atmosphere is that the sun will warm up the water and in the humidity. So you will have, but the humidity at the same time will stop some of the sun down to earth. It will kind of help to put a little bit of barrier. So the humidity makes it that the sun isn't as strong towards the water, like in the water. So if you are in direct sunlight, it's not as bad, while if you're in the shadow, it actually makes the temperature warmer. So it kind of gives a more even temperature. So when it is 30 degrees in the shadows in, for example, Florida, which is a very humid place, you have a much more even, you have 30 degrees and it's usually around that same temperature whether you're in the sun or in the shadows. However, when it's 30 degrees in the shadows in Sweden, it is about 40 degrees in the sun, if not more. It is very different because we don't have that humidity. The shadow is much, much colder than the sun area. The sun doesn't have anything that stops the rays like the humidity would do. So therefore, that even though it's 30 degrees in both places, it is 30 degrees in the shadow. So the temperature in the sun is much, much hotter. So, and Sweden isn't made for temperatures that high. Like when I was younger, 30 degrees in Sweden was very, very seldom. It was heard of, but it was very, very seldom. Maybe once a year, if not like 1 or 2 days in a year. It wasn't more than that. And now we have a lot more heat than we had before. But it's still fairly unusual to have that high temperature, and especially for multiple weeks like it's been here. We don't have AC in our apartments. There is no AC. The AC that exists in many of the malls are not strong enough to handle that high temperature because it's not built for those high temperatures. So I know that one year me and Christopher actually took a day and we checked into a hotel just overnight to be able to sleep in AC to get our body temperatures down. Me as a chronic ill person actually don't handle that kind of heat very well. When we're abroad, there is AC everywhere, which means that your body never kind of gets up to those higher temperatures because you go into the AC and you cool down, then you go out in the heat and you're in the heat, but then you can go out in the cool again. You don't have that, you don't get that in Sweden, okay? It is hard. Maybe you can go into a grocery store and place yourself around the freeze boxes. Then you can get your temperature down. But it's not common here in Sweden. So that's why also the high temperature is worse for us here in Sweden, because we don't have AC. AC doesn't exist. So you can buy ACs, but it's not something that is normally built in an apartment. And also with the cats, we are having a hard time kind of putting that into our apartment. So that won't be happening here, at least. But yeah, but it's good temperatures. In the middle of that, we went to the west coast, and that was a little bit more bearable because they live by the coast. They live on a little island, or their summer places on an island. So we had like the breeze. Also, the west coast is actually direct out towards the Atlantic, while the east coast have like a little lake, or pretty big lake, but it is a lake. So it is warmer just by default because of those differences. But yeah, so you do have those breezes all the time, and therefore that the worst week we actually was there, and it was great because it wasn't that warm. It was bearable to be outside, which was really nice. And I never been this brown. Well, I have been. I have photos of me being really, really, really brown, but that was before I was diagnosed with lupus. So I spent a lot of more time outside. Right now I'm kind of working my skin to get brown again, or like carefully. I do not go out sunbathe because I'm not allowed to sunbathe. That can affect my lupus negatively. However, now I'm okay to be out in the sun a little bit longer. When I got diagnosed, my doctors was like, no sun at all. So since 2013 up till like a year ago or 2 years ago, I never was out in the sun. If it was during daytimes I used to stay indoors. I always had like long-sleeved clothing. I had long-sleeved like leggings. I was covered all the time. I also was very, very overheating all the time. And then I talked to my newest rheumatologist, and we talked about sun and how I no longer get rashes or anything because I have other medications. And we kind of talked about it, and we realized that most likely my sun intolerance, because that is, I've been having a photosensitive allergic reaction from the sun, and most likely that has been due to medications. And now that I don't eat those medications, I don't get the rashes, and because I don't get the rashes, it is okay. I shouldn't be out in the tanning in the sun. I should use SPF and everything, but I can be out more, and I can go around in like t-shirts and stuff, and that is so nice. It is so nice. I really enjoy that. So I've been having a really great July that way. We haven't actually done much more than that. Well, we finished off July. We headed over to, again, my brother's house, or actually my brother's girlfriend's house. Her house is the house that are so close to the sea that you basically can just go out on the beach. Just go on the stairs and then go down on the beach. It's so close. It is beautiful in the house. We spent a whole day there bathing in the sea. It was really, really nice. So that has been kind of the bulk of July for me. I spend a lot of time sewing. You know, I like sewing. I like making like cross-stitch bags for cross-stitch projects and stuff, and I have gone through like trying to figure out what is my kind of style of bag. I want to sell bags in my Etsy store. I want to make sure that there's bags that I enjoy making, but I also enjoy using. A couple of years ago, I made my first bags, and I made them very clearly like everyone else does, except I didn't use vinyl because I hate see-through vinyl. Fake leather vinyl, so faux leather vinyl, no problem at all. I actually prefer that in like bags and stuff than normal leather, but just vinyl that it's see-through, like the ones that you have a little pocket, I hate it. Also, a lot of that vinyl will yellow over time, so for me it's not a long-lasting bag. So I made bags that looked like those, but instead had like just fabric, so it like a fabric pocket, and it had a zipper across it on top. And the reason why I did the zipper across it on top and not on the length was because I didn't have long enough zippers. I did enjoy using those bags. I do have a couple, I do use them, but it's not my kind of bag. Also, they were a little bit more complex to make. Still have some in my store if you want to grab them, but I'm not going to make that style anymore. Instead, all my bags are basically going to look like my normal little baggies. Basically, they have a zipper on the long side, they're just plain, and then they have fabric. They have a fully covered inside, and I really like them. I really like how to make them. However, I want to have little labels on them, and like a year ago I bought labels, I got them home, they didn't look the way I wanted them to look. However, I paid so much for them, I'm like, yeah, but I'm gonna use them anyhow, and I just haven't used them because I don't like them, so I'm not gonna. And then I purchased a bunch of new ones here because like, okay, I want this style, but I don't want to pay for the weaved ones, so we're just gonna have like printed ones. And then I got them, and there were some like text when I purchased them that it could appear slightly blurry because of how the printer does the thing, and I'm like, slightly blurry, that's just a little bit, but no. They came, and most of them, because they were very unevenly printed, so some of them was very blurry while others were a little less blurry. Some of them even had transfer on each other, and yeah, I just like, yeah, I can't, I don't want to deal with these. I did sew them on to one of my bags, so I have one bag that I ended up doing too little or too small. I sewed it on and it looks nice, but it's too blurry, so I opted for the weaved ones, and I'm still waiting to get them. So I have like a stack of bags that I sewn this summer that I haven't fully finished. I need to sew them together, but before I sew them together I want to add my labels. So that is where I am with that. So I've sewn a lot. I have sewn one more thing I'm going to show you. I actually have order in my room because I have cleaned a little bit because I start working soon and it needs to be a little bit less messy. It is still too messy, but yeah. I made this one. I made a grime guard for my little wooden frames. For my mill kit, specifically for these big ones, I use these wooden frames. These wooden frames are by a Ukrainian company. I will be selling them in my store. I have a full box of these on a bookcase, and it wasn't until yesterday I started trying out my new photo setup, and it is super simple. So I'm going to take photos of these and try to get them in the shop as soon as possible, hopefully this week, but we'll see. But yeah, I have these. They're from, as I said, from a Ukrainian company. I have multiple different sizes, so you can buy them for whatever you want to make. However, I am going to notify on the listings which one is for which kind of Mill Hill project, because I have 4 sizes, but there are only 2 of them that I use for Mill Hill projects. We have these, this one, that is great for the big one, and I actually use for the big one. I don't use it when I do like beading like this close to the edge. I actually do that beading in hand with this just in hand, because the width of this wood is a little bit too deep for that, and it is very very rigid, like it doesn't move anything. So I do take it out of the frame for that. But doing the cross stitching, most of the cross stitching, I can just slid this into my Lowry stand, and it's super nice. And I also, when we were at Christopher Parent's place, I actually used this for in hand. And this is where the grime guard comes in. I didn't have it then, but I am one of those autistic persons that really don't like raw wood. Apparently that is a very common autistic trait. I have a lot of sensory issues, and raw wood is one of those that I just don't like it. And when I stitched the latte one, I held this just in hand, and I really didn't like it. So I made a little grime guard so that I can just hold into that one instead. I don't get in contact with the wood. I don't kind of get the wood around when I go in and do this kind of stitching. So yeah, I really like my little mini grime guard. I do intend to make grime guards and selling them. I just need to figure out, like I have all the materials now, I just need to figure out how to make them. I also need to figure out where to put the label, because yeah. But this is my newest one. It's one of my favorite fabrics. I have like 8 meters of that, and it's the only I can't get more of it. But yeah, here it is, the fabric. I do want to design my own fabric. That is also something that I've been looking at. So that is my next and my last thing I think I want to talk about today. There's kitty hairs on this because I had it in my living room. My cat slept on it, I'm sorry. But this is a fun new thing. I use a company called Craftybit to print my fabrics. So far I have only had one fabric printed. It was a couple of years ago. I still have a couple of those bags in my store. Like, there are little bags, they're fitted for a passport, and that is how I use them myself, that size of a bag. Well, now I use them for everything because now they're padded. Those specific one isn't padded, they're just the fabric. So they're fairly thin, but they're very great if you are traveling and you need like a little notebook with you, or you want your passport into a bag. I also use them for money. So when you pick out money for traveling, I put all of the money in the bag and I then hide the bag, and then we have all the money. Anyhow, I printed that fabric. I designed it in Illustrator, and then I printed it on fabric through a company called Craftybit. It is a Polish company. The reason why I use it is because it is a European Union company. It's from Poland, which means that it's easier for me to get it. It also doesn't need to travel a long time. If you're a US citizen, there are other companies that does it. Yeah, I don't remember the name of it right now. Spoonflower does it. Anyhow, I was designing some patterns and I didn't get the colors to look right, and I was like, I need a purple and I don't know what to do. I purchased this from them. It was $5. This is the fabric I want to use. It is a poplin, and this is what you can buy it for $5. You get a sheet with all of the colors in CMYK. It also tells you on this sheet which CMYK profile you need to export your picture with, so that you can then, or your pattern with, so then you can send it in to them. So that came into the mail like 2 days ago, and I already put all of this data into my software that I'm using. I'm not using Illustrator anymore, so I'm very eager to start designing again. However, I've had a lot of other things needed to get done, like getting all the products in. So yeah, but yeah, it's super fun. I am having a lot of fun kind of figuring out what to do next in my business journey, while I'm waiting to start my new job, which I do here next week. Yay, I'm really looking forward to getting back to work and doing the job that I enjoy doing, that also pays my bills and pays for all of these things that I buy to try to make for my business, because my business doesn't pay for it yet. Hopefully one day. Anyhow, that was all for me today. I want to say thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you at the end of August. Well, technically beginning of September. I will see you in the beginning of September with my August video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you later. Oh, if you liked it, please thumbs it up, and if you have any questions, just comment down below. You can comment anything. Comment a cactus. If you come this far, comment a cactus, and you don't know what to say, just comment a cactus, a little one of those emojis. That would be awesome, because I want to know, did you see all through? Did you like this video? And if you like this video and you are not subscribed yet, just hit that subscribe button. Then YouTube can help you notify you whenever I put up a new video. So yeah, thank you so much again for being here with me. I will see you in a month. I hope you have an awesome August, and bye!